Today we've been talking about the transition diet and how important that is with regards to the milking diet and preparing them for lactation. The biggest parts in the fact that most people that when we see on farm, it's part of the Cinderella part of the diet that we look at. It tends to be forgotten. However, you wouldn't start a marathon, 26 miles, without doing any training. And I think we've got to look at the cow in that regards to that if we don't prepare it for its lactation, we're going to get some problems around that centered with illness, stress, lower production, disease, and ultimately costs to your dairy herd. If we get the dairy cow prepared for that lactation, and we have to look at the whole dry cow period and lead up to that. So we're looking at getting the body condition right, entering that 8-week period. So we're not looking to gain or lose weight significantly, because that is a significant waste of money. If we get to a point where the dry cow is coming in the right body condition, between condition score 2.5 and 3, we can keep it at that level or slightly gain throughout that dry cow period. I generally prefer a 8-week dry cow period, although we can break it down into a first 5 weeks and then a transition period of 3 weeks at the end. But the main aim through that period is to stretch the rumen, to enable it to stretch and create a mass of area so we can fill that with energy for when she does calve, with the dry cow requiring around 115 megajoules of energy, and a milk cow doing 45 litres would require energy of 300 megajoules. So how we've got to picture that is to try and get as much fibre into that diet as we possibly can to fill the same room as 300 megajoules would take into a low energy diet of around 115 megajoules. If we can do that, ideally when we transition at the point of calving, we just replace that volume with more energy and she can physically eat enough. It comes back to the fact that if we're ill and we don't eat for probably or we have a limited amount of diet as humans for 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 days, then you wouldn't go out for a Chinese banquet and suddenly stuff your face because you wouldn't be able to eat it. Same principle within a cow. If we can get them to eat all the way through that 8-week period as much as they physically can, of a palatable diet with fresh water and anything we can do to try and maximize those intakes as dry cows without them getting fat, and then we lead into that milking period, that milking phase of their lactation, whereby we can fill that rumen space with lots of high quality, high energy feed. We will transition through, we'll have very little weight loss, we'll maximize production and therefore gain better fertility and get them in calf by 80 days. If it's right, then everything becomes plain sailing. We're into a phase where the management of that milking cow becomes easy. It becomes low cost, in the fact that there's no vet visits, there's no retained fetal membranes, we're not getting any metritis, therefore the cow will come bulling, and we can get her back in calf by 70, 80 days. Otherwise we're into a lot of cost phases within that cow's diet, and we're also problems in the fact that we're into intervention with antibiotics, and it doesn't need that. If the diet is correct, then we're not having to intervene, and therefore we're not having to put expensive antibiotics, lose milk production, and we need to maximize production as efficiently as we can.